Welcome back to the Awesome Agents podcast. I'm Alex, and today we're talking about Google just handing out AI video generation to basically everyone on the planet.
Yeah, 3 billion personal Google accounts now have access to Veo 3.1. That's a big number. Whether it means what it sounds like is the part worth unpacking.
Right, so let's set the stage. Until now, Veo was behind a paywall. What changed?
Google rolled this out on April 2nd. Any Gmail account now gets 10 free Veo 3.1 generations per month through Google Vids. Previously, you needed a paid workspace subscription or an AI Pro plan to touch it.
10 clips. That's honestly not a lot. What do you actually get with those 10?
720p video, up to 8 seconds per clip, so roughly 80 seconds of footage for the whole month. But interestingly, audio generation is included on the free tier.
Wait, audio is free, but better resolution isn't? That's an interesting choice.
It is, and audio is actually the bigger deal here. Veo 3 produced silent video. Veo 3.1 generates synchronized dialogue, ambient sound, and sound effects right with the image. 48 kilohertz stereo.
So closing the gap on something that made the old version feel half finished.
Exactly. That was a real limitation. Competitors shipped audio from early on, and Veo 3 didn't have it. That always came up in comparisons.
What else changed between 3 and 3.1? Is this actually a new model or just polished edges?
It runs on the same underlying model as Veo 3, same foundation. The differences come from refined training data and post-processing changes.
So not a new architecture. Okay.
Right. But the practical upgrades are real. Portrait mode is new, 916 vertical orientation, which the old model never supported. Anyone making content for mobile-first platforms couldn't really use Veo 3 for their main format.
That seems like a huge miss they corrected. TikTok, Reels, Shorts, they're all vertical.
Also, 4K support for clips up to 8 seconds, and you can now extend clips in 7-second increments up to 20 times. You can build something approaching 150 seconds total.
You know what is wild to me? That's actually usable. That changes the value proposition.
And Google claims 40 to 60% better frame consistency on 8-second clips compared to Veo 3, plus about 35% improvement in motion physics accuracy, things like weight and momentum. Their own numbers, to be clear.
Their own benchmarks. So take those with some salt.
Definitely. And there are real trade-offs. Veo 3.1 runs 8 to 12% slower than Veo 3 without audio. With audio enabled, you're looking at 25 to 30% slower. File sizes expand about 3.2 times.
So you're paying in compute, even if you're not paying in dollars.
Right, and API costs are 15 to 40% higher than Veo 3, depending on how much audio you're producing.
Let's talk about timing here. OpenAI pulled Sora from the market recently. Is this Google filling that vacuum?
Almost certainly deliberate. OpenAI cited infrastructure costs reportedly running at around $15 million per day, and a distribution deal fell apart. Google announcing free Veo 3.1 access within a month of that's not a coincidence.
It's a land grab while there's an opening. Who's the real competition then?
Kling from Kuaishou and Hunyuan from Tencent. They've been the most aggressive on pricing and have longer track records in production workflows. Google hasn't published head-to-head quality comparisons against either of them.
So there's a gap in the story there. We don't actually know how Veo 3.1 stacks up on quality yet.
Not from independent evaluators, no. And there's another thing Google hasn't released, which is inference latency benchmarks for the standard tier. If generations take notably longer than Kling or Runway, the cost calculation changes.
There's also a developer API side to this, right? Veo 3.1 Lite?
Right, launched 3 days before the consumer rollout. Priced at 5 cents per second for 720p, 8 cents per second for 1080p. That's less than half the cost of the fast tier.
I mean, for developers building on top of this that's meaningful, what's Kling charging by comparison?
Around 7 cents per second. So Google Lite is competitive, maybe better depending on quality. But again, we need independent throughput data to know the real cost.
Okay, so stepping back, what do we make of the free tier itself? Is 10 clips per month actually useful?
Honest answer is it's enough to evaluate the product, not enough to build with it. For anyone doing real work with video AI, 10 clips doesn't get you very far. Runway's free tier actually gives more latitude despite adding watermarks. Kling is comparable on limits.
So it's a trial funnel dressed up as generosity.
That's about right. Google AI Pro at $22 a month jumps you to 50 generations and adds Lyria 3, their music model. Ultra at $275 goes to 1,000 generations and adds AI avatars, photorealistic virtual presenters.
The avatar piece is interesting for enterprise use cases, but the free tier is clearly designed to get people hooked and convert.
And that's probably fine. It fits Google's pattern this month. Gemma 4 went open source under Apache 2.0. At the same time, free access to capable models with a path to paid cloud tiers on top.
So the strategy is flood the zone with free access, make the free tier just good enough to show the product works, and capture people before they commit to a competitor.
Exactly. 3 billion accounts is a real distribution advantage. No other video AI company has that surface area.
All right, final thought from you. Does this actually matter for where AI video is heading?
The audio integration matters, the distribution matters, but the benchmark gap is a real hole in the story. Until independent evaluators run Veo 3.1 against Kling and Hunyuan on real production tasks, we're still working from Google's own numbers.
And the question of whether 10 free clips builds a habit or just teases one. Thanks for breaking this down, Maya. If you want the full breakdown with the pricing tiers and API details, it's all at awesomeagents.ai. We'll catch you next time.